This is how revenge should be taken. I was born into a wealthy family. Immediately after I was returned to the Sterling family, Kira, the swapped daughter who was also kidnapped, and I were faced with my parents being forced to choose one. They chose Kira and left with her without looking back. The kidnapper tore open my shirt, smiling sinisterly. Pathetic, even your own parents don't want you. Unexpectedly, I looked up and asked him, "Do you know where I was sold before I came back to the Sterlings?" He looked confused. Immediately, the stun gun in my hand sent him to the ground. I smiled, stepping on his writhing body. That was the Golden Triangle region. I sold the kidnappers for a bargain price of $200,000. Plus the $5 million ransom I just withdrew from their card. What a romantic number. When everything ended, night had fallen. I lit a cigarette taken from them, the red flame flickering in the night like a dying candle. "Happy birthday," I whispered to myself. Once again, I had escaped on my own. Escaped the Golden Triangle, escaped the remote countryside, and escaped the kidnappers. By my own strength, I had survived until the age of 17. 17 years ago, on this very day, the Sterling's maid swapped me with Kira. I was sold to human traffickers, while she became the precious gem of a wealthy family. The day I returned, Kira wore a designer dress so expensive I couldn't even recognize the label, clinging to Mrs. Sterling, sobbing uncontrollably. I, in my worn-out clothes, stood alone in the luxurious great hall, completely out of place. Mr. Sterling walked over, patted my head, and sighed, "You have suffered a lot, Summer." Then he continued, "But Kira's birth mother is now in prison. That's considered paying the price. Kira is innocent. The poor girl has nowhere else to go." I looked up, my voice choked. "Does that mean Mom and Dad want Kira to stay?" My brother, Jason Sterling, said loudly. "Kira has been cherished by the whole family since childhood. She's never had to suffer. Do you want her to experience the same bitterness you went through before you're satisfied?" So, they only know I was sold to the countryside. They don't know I had to escape the Golden Triangle. If Kira had to live my life, she'd probably have died long ago. Holding Kira close, Mrs. Sterling turned to comfort me. "Kira grew up here. Her manners, studies, and social skills are all excellent. You should learn more from your sister since you've just returned." Mr. Sterling nodded in agreement. "She'll be your older sister from now on." From beginning to end, Kira said nothing, only showing redness in the corners of her eyes. Everyone seemed to side with her, as if she were the one who had suffered the injustice, as if she were the one who had been swapped for the past 17 years. I didn't object to Kira staying, only demanding one condition. The truth about my identity had to be made public. The Sterling family agreed. But then, right before the birthday party, Mr. Sterling's enemy kidnapped Kira and me. They forced them to choose one, and once again they chose Kira. I understood. Kira was the child they had raised for 17 years. Their bond was deep. It was understandable that they favored her, but I have never been one to accept being wronged. The cigarette burned down close to my fingers. I put it out, my fingers tapping a sequence of numbers on the phone screen. The person on the other end picked up quickly, a youthful voice carrying a hint of a smile. "What is it? Finally remembered me." I got straight to the point. "Liam, I need you to do something for me." When the Sterling family rushed to the hospital, the corridor was packed with reporters. "Mr. Sterling, is it true that your family abandoned your biological daughter to save your adopted daughter? Your biological daughter just returned after nearly losing her life, while your adopted daughter is still having a grand birthday party. How do you explain this?" Mr. and Mrs. Sterling's faces turned pale. Kira stood behind them, clenching the hem of her dress. The police officer announced that the kidnappers had fled to the Golden Triangle. The pursuit would be extremely difficult. The girl was in severe psychological shock and needed treatment. Mr. Sterling looked at me heartbroken. "Summer, you've suffered. Your parents will definitely make it up to you." Mrs. Sterling hugged me tightly, tears welling up. "Kira has a heart condition. She can't handle strong emotional shock. At that moment, we could only take her out first and then find a way to come back for you. It's truly not that your parents didn't want you." The scent on her was strangely gentle. The embrace was exactly like the arms of the mother in my dreams. I obediently leaned into her. My eyelashes drooped, concealing the mocking smile hidden deep in my eyes. If there was still a slight hope before, it completely vanished the moment they chose Kira without hesitation. They certainly knew what a girl would go through at the hands of those vicious kidnappers. In front of the media cameras, the Sterlings sat right by my hospital bed, inquiring about me warmly. Even my brother, Jason Sterling, who was usually cold, sat beside me peeling fruit. Kira stood silently in a corner of the room, her fingernails digging deep into her palms. Perhaps she never thought the day would come when all her parents' attention would be focused on me. She quickly stepped forward, her eyes tearing up. "Little sister, don't say anything. Are you blaming Mom and Dad?" She held my hand, feigning remorse. "If anyone's to blame, blame me. It's only because Mom and Dad love me so much that they decided to save me instead of you." With that, she stared intently at me, as if waiting for me to be angry or deeply distressed. Unfortunately, all she saw was a calm face. Yesterday, after subduing the kidnappers with the stun gun, I interrogated them. "Why did you force them to choose one? If you wanted money, capturing both would double the ransom, wouldn't it?" The leader groaned, sweating profusely, and finally confessed. "Someone hired us. They wanted us to scare the girl, take some embarrassing photos so she wouldn't be able to hold her head up in the Sterling family. Kira was just bait. No matter who the Sterlings chose, the one who would be released was her." The person who didn't want me back in the Sterling family was easy to guess, but the true mastermind was someone I had never expected. When Liam Davies dropped me off outside the police station, he asked, "Even so, you still decided to come back?" I smiled faintly. "You know me. I hold grudges and I repay kindness. Besides, this is my home. What they owe me is more than just a title." Liam smiled softly, reaching out to adjust my collar, his finger lightly touching my neck. "Summer, you once saved my life, so whatever you want to do, I'll help you." Now, facing Kira's implicitly challenging gaze, I slowly gripped her hand. When my sleeve slipped down, the terrifying scars covering my arm were exposed. Although they looked frightening, I actually caused them myself. Because if I had returned safely from the kidnappers, it might have raised suspicion in everyone's minds. I said softly, with a hint of sadness in my voice. "Why would you think that, sister? How could I blame Mom and Dad?" I turned to Mr. and Mrs. Sterling and said, "Mom and Dad made the right choice by choosing sister. She's been pampered since childhood. How could she endure such terrible things? As for me, I'm used to being beaten since I was little, so I can handle this." Returning to the Sterling family, getting enough food and clothing, and not being beaten or scolded, I'm already very satisfied. I wouldn't dare ask for more. Immediately, the reporter's lenses focused directly on the scars on my arm. Flashbulbs went off continuously. The Sterling's adopted daughter is too much. Summer is so hurt, yet she's still flaunting being more loved. The biological daughter is truly sensible. Even at this moment, she's defending the Sterling family. Didn't the Sterlings say their biological daughter lived well? Why is the truth so different? Kira's face fluctuated between red and white. She opened her mouth, intending to refute something. Suddenly, Mr. Sterling shouted, "Enough!" He originally wanted to stage a scene of a loving family for the media, but Kira ruined everything. It was the first time Kira had been scolded by her father in front of so many people. Her face turned ashen. She looked up at her mother for help, but Mrs. Sterling avoided her eyes. With tear-filled eyes, Kira turned and ran out of the hospital room. Jason hesitated slightly but ultimately chased after her. Mr. Sterling awkwardly told the press, "My younger daughter is a bit stubborn. Please forgive her. Summer has just gone through a major shock and needs rest. We will arrange another interview later." Initially, the Sterlings intended to use money to bribe the media to cover up the kidnapping. But all the reporters present were arranged by Liam Davies. Under his direction, the news quickly spread on social media. Sterling family fake handreal daughter Summer Sterling wounds netizens uproar true swap in real life. I can't believe there are parents who are so biased. Their own child suffered so much, and upon returning home, she's treated poorly. This is nothing short of a nightmare. This girl is truly skilled. Escaping the kidnappers on her own is excellent. The biological daughter is truly pitiful. Even just in a hospital gown, she exudes nobility. With such a beautiful face, how could the kidnappers be so heartless? They truly are animals, but in fairness, the adopted daughter is innocent. It's not her fault that her parents saved her. The biological daughter is also very calculating, deliberately acting pitiful to gain sympathy. The person upstairs must be the adopted daughter's fake account. Speaking of cunning, no one beats Kira. who intentionally mentioned that her parents loved her more in front of so many people. Sterling Corp's stock plummeted severely, causing Mr. Sterling great distress. Finally, he decided to hold an online press conference, transferring 10% of the company's shares originally intended for Kira to my name to salvage the company's image. The wave of public opinion rose and was quickly overshadowed by other news. By the day I was discharged from the hospital, no one on social media was discussing the matter anymore. The trending search terms had been buried by other entertainment news. As soon as I stepped into the Sterling mansion, I heard Kira's crying echoing from upstairs. Didn't Mom and Dad say I was the only young mistress of the Sterling family? Now they're giving her shares. The whole world is laughing at me. What should I do, Mom and Dad? Mrs. Sterling gently comforted her. Kira, calm down. Mom and Dad still love you the most. We'll give you more later. Jason added, I will protect you. Even if she returns, no one is allowed to let you suffer any loss. I stood downstairs, hearing the whole family surround and comfort each other, and could only laugh. Mr. Sterling, seeing my silence, quickly tried to appease me. Summer, your room has been cleaned. Go upstairs and rest. No need. My voice was indifferent. I won't be staying here for now. He looked stunned. Why? I looked up, meeting his eyes directly. Because this place doesn't seem to have a place for me. Mr. Sterling's expression changed slightly. Why not? You're my biological daughter. Is that so? I smiled faintly. Then why, when Kira cried, did the whole family rush to comfort her? As for me, I just got out of the hospital and have been standing here for nearly half a day, and no one has even offered me a glass of water. He choked, and after a moment he said with difficulty, You must stay in the Sterling family. If this spreads, people will say the biological daughter isn't allowed back home. What would that look like? After all, we're family. I looked at him for a long time before slowly nodding. Fine, but I have a few conditions. First, since you've acknowledged me, don't make any more empty promises about the young mistress title and the Sterling Corp shares to anyone else. Second, this is the Sterling family home, and I am the official daughter of the owner. I glanced at the servants secretly listening in. Anyone who dares to gossip behind my back shouldn't blame this country girl for being ruthless. Third, when the new school year starts, I will transfer to Kira's school. The prestigious school, a hub for top educational resources and a crucial networking ground for the elite. Kira's private school only accepted children from noble families and those with exceptional talent. Every student there exuded status, accustomed to looking down on others. Today, when Summer Sterling walked through the school gates, all eyes turned toward me, carrying judgment, curiosity, and even contempt. Isn't that Summer Sterling, the Sterling's biological daughter? I heard she just came from the countryside. She must be quite a country bumpkin. Look, her clothes are clearly not designer. The murmurs and whispers came like an undercurrent. I stood straight, my steps unhurried, not paying any attention, my gaze calm. The students suddenly fell silent. Although my clothes were simple, the aloof and distant aura I projected made no one dare to look down on me. Inside the classroom, Kira was sitting right in the center, surrounded by her close friends, chatting happily. The smile on her face froze slightly when she saw me walk in. Kira, do you know that girl? Summer is my sister who just came back, Kira replied softly, but the words just came back were deliberately emphasized, full of subtle meaning. The surrounding eyes looked at me with even more coldness. Without changing my expression, I pulled out a chair and sat down, remaining silent. I didn't need to speak. These childish games would end on their own. In the first economics class, the professor required the entire class to give a group presentation. Kira's group quickly chose the easiest topic, while my group was assigned an extremely difficult subject, analyzing the informal financial model in the Golden Triangle. My group members frowned. What? What should we do now? This topic is too difficult. I heard it's very chaotic there, and there's hardly any data. What can we analyze? Everyone's eyes unconsciously turned toward me. Kira covered her mouth and chuckled softly, looking as if she was enjoying a good show. I picked up a pen, slowly sketched a few main points, and said calmly, Leave the content to me. You guys just prepare the presentation. On the day of the presentation, I stood on the podium, my gaze calmly sweeping across the class. They saw the Golden Triangle as a hell, but I saw it as home. My analysis was profound, the data precise, and the arguments sharp. Every word I spoke made the demanding professor nod repeatedly. Excellent, this is truly a high-quality report. Have you ever lived in the Golden Triangle? The professor asked in surprise. I merely replied casually. I just lived and worked there for a few years. The whole class buzzed with astonishment, and Kira's face turned ashen. The topic she had meticulously chosen suddenly seemed bland and ordinary. This was the first slap I delivered to Kira, right where she was always proudest. After that presentation, the way my classmates treated me changed. Those who used to mock me began to be more cautious. Some even actively tried to get to know me. However, Kira couldn't accept this. She was used to being admired. How could she tolerate me overshadowing her? Not long after, rumors began to spread throughout the school. I heard Summer Sterling was sold to dubious places and wasn't properly educated. That report must have been stolen from someone. The rumors spread like wildfire. A few people started looking at me with contempt. I just smiled slightly. Did Kira think these baseless rumors could bring me down? She forgot that I, who had returned from hell, couldn't be easily destroyed by such unfounded stories. While the rumors were swirling, Kira pretended to be a kind older sister, approaching me and gently comforting me. Don't be sad, little sister. As long as you study well, people will recognize you. Don't pay attention to those rumors. I ignored her completely. The school had an elite club, a gathering place for the most outstanding students, mostly children of powerful families. Being selected for this club was synonymous with receiving a pass into the upper class. Kira had been an important member there for a long time, but no one expected that after that economics report, I would receive an invitation to join. The gold-embossed invitation card was delivered right to the classroom, astonishing everyone. No way, she just got here. So Summer Sterling didn't plagiarize after all. Kira's eyes flashed with undisguised envy, but she still tried to act noble. Congratulations, little sister. You're truly talented. This is a good way to clear your name about the plagiarism rumors. I just smiled faintly and took the card. Starting today, I would officially step into the elite circle Kira had always been so proud of. The club organized a debate competition on the topic. Which is more important, money or family affection? Ironically, Kira and I were placed on opposing teams. The entire auditorium held its breath, waiting to see who would ultimately win between the two Sterling daughters. In her defense, Kira passionately glorified the priceless, sacred nature of family affection, her eyes constantly looking towards the Sterlings sitting in the audience, moving many people. When it was my turn to present, I merely walked onto the stage nonchalantly. Perhaps there truly is something called sacred family affection in this world, but not everyone is so lucky. Because in reality, there are still parents who are willing to abandon their own biological child to choose their adopted one. The auditorium fell into absolute silence. My words were like a stone thrown into a calm lake, creating waves of astonishment that reached the front row, where Mr. and Mrs. Sterling and Kira sat with pale faces. In the end, my team won an overwhelming victory. The applause erupted like thunder. That was the most public and painful slap I delivered to them. Immediately after, news of the debate spread rapidly. Public opinion surged again. The wealthy family abandoned their biological daughter and wholeheartedly loved their adopted daughter for 17 years. How ridiculous. Sterling Corp's stock continued to plunge uncontrollably. Major partners began to withdraw their investments. Meanwhile, my name, Summer Sterling, quickly became the focus of attention. The girl who returned from the abyss, strong, cold, and mysterious. On social media, related hashtags quickly climbed to the top of trending topics. Summer Sterling #revenge is as spice, the rightful heiress princess in rags, Kira, suddenly became the target of ridicule across society. I, on the other hand, had stepped onto a much larger stage. After the debate competition, the atmosphere inside the Sterling mansion became stiflingly suffocating. Mr. Sterling sat on the sofa, his face gloomy, sweeping the teacups off the table. The sound of broken china echoed harshly. Summer Sterling, do you know what you've done? You've made the entire Sterling family a laughingstock for the world. I stood opposite him, my eyes cold. A laughingstock? Didn't I just speak the truth? Or do you want me to stand before everyone and praise the beautiful family affection of parents who are willing to abandon their own child? You! Mr. Sterling was too angry to speak, pointing at me, his chest heaving violently. I am your father. Is that so? I smiled faintly, a smile utterly devoid of emotion. When you chose Kira, did you still consider me your daughter? Mrs. Sterling quickly rushed over, her voice soft. Summer, that's enough. Your father just lost his temper for a moment. Lost his temper? I looked at her, my voice mocking. Look, Mom, Kira, your darling daughter, is sobbing upstairs and Jason has to console her while I'm being scolded by the man who fathered me. Tell me, who has the right to be angry here? Both Mr. and Mrs. Sterling were stunned by my sharpness. They were used to a Kira who always whined and acted weak to gain sympathy. They had no idea how to deal with a Summer who was so straightforward and challenging. Kira came down from upstairs, her eyes swollen, desperately trying to look pitiful. Little sister, it's all my fault. Don't be angry with Mom and Dad. Stop acting. I cut her off. My voice was icy. Don't you get tired? Just looking at you makes me sick. I turned away, not sparing them another glance, before walking upstairs. I paused, leaving them with one last sentence. Don't forget that 10% of Sterling Corp's shares are in my hands. If you make me unhappy, I'm not sure what tomorrow's stock price will look like. The entire room fell into chilling silence. Kira couldn't accept this defeat. Her #1 princess status was being seriously threatened. She saw the school's annual charity gala as her last lifeline, an opportunity to drown me and reclaim everything. As the organizer of the auction, Kira held all the power in her hands. On the night of the gala, she was radiant as a princess, standing confidently on the stage. Everything went smoothly until the final item, a diamond necklace named Tears of the Deep Sea, sponsored by an anonymous donor. The starting bid was $500,000. As soon as the item was introduced, Liam Davies, sitting next to me, slightly curved his lips. He was that anonymous donor. The auction was lively. Kira smiled smugly, occasionally glancing at me suggestively as if a good show was about to start. Sure enough, as the auction ended, a horrified scream came from backstage. The necklace was gone, vanished into thin air. The entire hall descended into chaos. Security was called and all exits were sealed. As the person responsible, Kira's face showed clear panic, but a barely hidden glimmer of delight was visible deep in her eyes. Impossible. I remember locking it safely in the box. The police began to investigate the incident. As expected, the security camera system in the area was jammed. Immediately, Tracy, Kira's close friend, suddenly pointed directly at me. It was her. I saw Summer Sterling loitering around the backstage area just now. She looked very suspicious. All eyes turned toward me. Kira stepped closer, putting on a show of disappointment, her voice trembling. Little sister, why would you do this? Even if you don't like me, this is charity money. She signaled to the security staff. Please check my sister's handbag. The security staff approached and opened the handbag I was carrying. Inside, a necklace identical to the Tears of the Deep Sea sparkled brightly. The entire hall buzzed with discussion. Oh my God, it really was her who stole it. She's truly an uneducated country bumpkin. She lost her mind at the sight of expensive things. Kira's lips curved into a victorious smile as she looked at me. But contrary to her expectations, I showed no panic. I just looked at the necklace in my bag, then at her, and shook my head slightly. You were too hasty, Kira. This fake is poorly made. What did you say? Kira was stunned. I said nonchalantly, loud enough for everyone around to hear. You might not know this, but valuable jewelry like this usually has special identifying marks to prevent counterfeiting, especially when donated by a careful person. I turned to look at Liam Davies. He understood, stood up, and walked over calmly. I am the one who donated this necklace, Liam announced, astonishing everyone. For security reasons, I asked the jeweler to engrave a microlaser code onto the main diamond. Only specialized equipment can see it. He signaled for his assistant to bring a handheld scanner. Liam now looked directly at Kira. Let's check if the necklace in Summer Sterling's bag has that code. And then perhaps we should find out where the real necklace is, shouldn't we? Kira's face was as pale as paper. She stammered, How? How could there be a code? You're making things up. But everything was set. The security staff used the scanner to check the necklace in my bag. Report, this diamond has absolutely no code. The truth was now painfully obvious. This was clearly a trap. No one but Kira, the person with the most power, had the motive and opportunity to swap the real necklace and plant the fake one in my bag. Check her! A scream erupted from the crowd. Tracy, Kiera's minion, stumbled back in fear, accidentally dropping the purse in her hand. The real tears of the deep sea necklace spilled out, glittering brightly under the stage lights. It was over. The contemptuous gossip, the hateful looks, the abandonment by friends, everything Kiera wanted me to suffer. Now it all crashed down on her, many times heavier. The reputation she had painstakingly built could not be salvaged and vanished into thin air overnight. She wanted to push me into hell, but little did she know she fell into the abyss she created herself. Kiera lost everything. Mrs. Sterling finally couldn't bear it anymore. She stopped me in the living room, her eyes red, her shoulders trembling. "Summer, can you stop? I'm begging you. Kiera has suffered enough. Why are you so heartless?" I looked her straight in the eye, my voice utterly cold. "Heartless? Mom, do you know what true heartlessness is?" I pulled up my sleeve, revealing the old scars piled one upon the other. "This is the scar from when I was 5 because I broke a bowl, so I was locked in a dark basement for 3 days without food. This is the scar I got when I was 7. I was burned with a hot iron rod for not finishing my chores. And this one," I said, pointing to a long scar on my arm, "is when I was 15 in the Golden Triangle and was slashed with a machete for resisting. At that time, all I thought was, if I survive, I must find my mother and ask why." I leaned closer to her, whispering into her ear, every word like a knife cutting into her heart. "During all that time I had to endure, where were you? You were organizing a grand birthday party for Kiera, teaching her to play piano, and proudly showing off your adopted daughter to the world. Compared to the suffering I went through, how much is what she's enduring now worth?" Mrs. Sterling was completely stunned, slowly backing away. Her carefully maintained face now clearly showed the wrinkles of despair. She went limp and sank to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. For the first time, the raw, painful truth about my past was revealed. It completely crushed the woman who had always lived in a fantasy world of a perfect family. Following Kiera's scandal, Sterling Corp's stock plummeted uncontrollably. In his panic, Mr. Sterling called a family meeting. He still tried to salvage the situation. "Summer, you hold 10% of the shares. Jason does too. As long as we stand together, I spoke, a sneer forming on my lips. "You think I'll help you, Father?" The main door of the mansion opened. Liam Davies walked in, followed by 2 lawyers in formal suits. "Hello, Mr. Sterling." Liam smiled politely, but his eyes were sharp as knives. I placed a voice recorder on the table and pressed play. The voice of the kidnapper gang leader was clear and trembling. "Mr. Sterling himself hired us. He said just to scare the girl, take a few embarrassing photos so she couldn't hold her head up. He also said that if the family could only choose one, the one to be released had to be Kiera." Mr. Sterling's face was as pale as death. He trembled, pointing at me. You. I stood up, slowly walking around him. "Surprised, aren't you? You didn't just want to abandon me, you wanted to completely destroy me. Why?" I didn't wait for him to answer, continuing on my own. "Because of my grandfather. Before he died, he wrote a will, granting me 40% of the shares in Vanguard Group, a power far greater than Sterling Corp. This will is effective on my 18th birthday. You were afraid that I, a daughter raised in a low-class environment, would oppose you. You wanted to create a psychological blow that would have me declared legally incompetent so you could legally become my guardian and seize all that wealth. You weren't afraid of me. You were afraid of the wealth I would inherit. In your eyes, family affection was never more important than money." My lawyer placed a stack of documents on the table. "Mr. Sterling, this is the evidence of your complicity in the kidnapping, along with your money laundering and other illegal transactions over the years. We have sent a copy to the investigation authorities." Simultaneously, Liam Davies spoke. "And Davies Group has officially made an offer to buy all Sterling Corp shares traded on the market. Given the current situation, I think you know your fate." Mr. Sterling slumped into his chair, his eyes empty. The empire he had built his entire life crumbled in an instant. A year later, Summer Sterling, in a meticulously tailored suit, sat in the chairman's seat of the Vanguard Group. Through Vanguard, I acquired the remaining parts of Sterling Corp. And restructured it into a subsidiary. Mr. Sterling received a life sentence for the numerous crimes he committed. Mrs. Sterling lived alone in a small villa in the suburbs, facing remorse and regret every day. Jason Sterling quietly left the country, vanishing without a trace. As for Kira, she lost everything. Without a single valuable degree and no one to support her, she had to work manual labor jobs to make a living. Occasionally, I read news about a girl who looked like her being caught arguing with a customer in a convenience store. The former precious gem was finally buried in the mud. Liam Davies walked into the office, placing a hot cup of coffee on my desk. "It's all over. How do you feel?" I looked out the window, where the city lights were dazzling. The light reflecting in my eyes was both cold and sharp. "I don't seek happiness," I answered calmly. "The only thing I desire is justice. Justice for the 17 years lost, the necessary justice for the scars that will last forever. Although the flame of hatred has subsided, the memory of the past will always be with me. It doesn't define who I am, but it helped create the person I am today, an unbeatable Summer Sterling."